This is the Second Chance at Health podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brad Hassig. Come join me as we remove confusion from the hottest health topics by discussing the latest research, along with what we've seen with thousands of our patients and amongst our community, family, friends, and people all over the nation and world. Let's dig in. Hey, this is Dr. Brad Hassig with the Second Chance at Health podcast. Today's episode is episode number 16, Hormones from Hell. Honey, don't touch me. This is going over hormones and hormone imbalances. This is something I see a lot in our functional health, functional medicine practice, and so it's something I wanted to address. The Bible verse of today might be a little bit of a stretch, but I think will be appreciated. Romans 8, verse 39, no power in the sky above or in the earth below. Indeed, nothing in all creation will ever be able to separate us from the love of God that is revealed in Christ Jesus our Lord. And that includes hormone imbalances. Because as we all know, if you are going through that season of life, or if you have a significant other that is, and it can be men and women that have this, you know that things can change and times can be trying. Your body can be kind of going haywire, feeling things and different stuff that maybe you haven't had since you were a teenager. So there's some pretty significant challenges, some health challenges. So I want to go through and describe kind of what these things are, and then give you some solutions, things that you can do at home, and also some suggestions of if that's the stuff, at-home stuff isn't effective, where you might look for help with that. So it's quite common, affects millions of people worldwide. It's estimated 20 million Americans have some form of thyroid disease. I mean, it's just epidemic level. It tends to affect women more, 5 to 8 times more likely in women than there is in men. Still does happen in men. But especially you're going to see a lot of hypothyroidism, and it's like I said, especially in women that you're going to see that. The other thing, another one that you're going to see is polycystic ovary syndrome. That's going to be where the ovaries are not producing enough hormone to release the cells. And in that case, if you're not releasing that, you can start to have a buildup of those cells, those tissues, and they'll actually start to release androgens. So females are going to start to have more male hormones in their body than what they would want, and so that really starts to create some of those imbalances. So there's different types. Like I said, the number one the most common that you're going to see is going to be thyroid disorders, hypothyroid and hyper, very, very common, caused by either underactive or overactive thyroid glands. The next thing that we're going to see, and this is becoming a passion of mine, is going to be with diabetes. And obviously, there's type 1, type 2, and now they're even getting into type 3, pre-diabetic. Type 2 is going to be adult onset, and a lot of it is going to be, it's very common, and a lot of it is going to be tied to diet and poor diet and consumption of processed foods. Something we're seeing a lot more. It's not even when I was a kid, 70s, 80s, we didn't see this nearly as much as what they're seeing now. And there's a lot of reasons for this. I've touched on some of this, so I'm not going to go into all of that today. Another thing that you're going to see is going to be adrenal disorders. Things like Addison's disease, Cushing's syndrome, things like that affect your cortisol levels. Cortisol gets such a bad rap. Cortisol bad. No, cortisol is not good or bad. It's just a hormone. It's it's a vital hormone, and it needs to be in a certain balance in your body. And it's when that cortisol gets imbalanced, whether it's too high, or oftentimes when you start to see, you look at some of the work with Hans Selye and you look at the different stages, the first thing that you're going to see is high. That's stage 1. That's going to be the alarm. Then you're getting into stage 2 as things are starting to drop. That's the resistance stage. And then you finally get into stage 3, which is going to be exhaustion. And so that's when you're actually starting to see low cortisol levels, that just absolute fatigue. It's burned out. They can't even get high anymore. And so that's when we have to look at things, what we can do to try and support your body to actually elevate it. So if it's low, And I had this question, and I'll touch on this later again with testing. I had a person ask me today and said, "Well, I've got some cortisol blocker or cortisol decreasing supplement. Do you think that's good?" And I said, "I don't know if that's good for you because we don't know what your cortisol levels are. You have to know. You have to test. Otherwise, you're guessing. And if you guess wrong, you're going to aggravate something. And you also have to know the dosage of what you're doing it, the timing, the different times during the day. There's a certain rhythm with that. So anyway, well, that's something we'll touch on a little bit later. Then you're getting into sex hormone imbalances, like I said, things like PCOS, menopause, low testosterone in men. This is very, very common that you're starting to see in men, low testosterone levels. And I'm not going to go off on a rant about, it's quick and easy to get on testosterone replacements. Legalize steroids. The drug companies make a lot of money. And guess what? You'll feel great. If you've had really low testosterone and they put you on testosterone, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel like that alpha male again. It's not without side effects. It's not without constant examination and testing. So if there are certain cases where you're too far beyond what your body can recover and heal on its own, once again, we don't know without testing. Testing is going to determine to see where that's at. Try everything first. Try everything naturally. If your body's lost the ability to do it, there are limitations of matter. Then you can always go to that further step to where then you're going to be on it. It's kind of like with thyroid hormone. Some people need to be on Synthroid. Some people will take Armour thyroid, but Synthroid, once you're on it, your body stops producing it. It's going to downregulate, and you're going to lose the ability. It's kind of a self-fulfilling process here. You're going to be on that then for the rest of your life. So avoid that if you can. So the different symptoms, they can vary widely. You're looking at things like, fatigue, anxiety, stress, sleep issues, weight challenges, unexplained weight gain or difficulty losing weight, cardiovascular issues, osteoporosis, things like that. You're looking at depression, irregular menstrual cycles, and then libido, decreased libido. If the hormones are low, that's going to happen. And once again, that's with couples, that's not a great thing. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to discuss. They don't want to talk about. But if you can, it can be changed. And so I hate to see people suffer. I hate to see couples suffer with things, men and women with this. So it's, you just, if you won't do it for yourself, do it for your partner, do it for your family, kids, grandkids, what have you. So, untreated hormone imbalances, like I said, can lead to some serious things: cardiovascular issues, osteoporosis, infertility, metabolic disorders. And that's, I just read a study yesterday, and it was talking about, some of the top things that are causing cardiovascular issues. And it's what was the top, and it was diabetes, and it was insulin resistance, and getting into that. Type 2 diabetes was the number one thing. Then and it was a tenfold. It was the top thing by far. Then it was going into metabolic syndrome. Then you're getting into, then it was slowly starting to get into things like, osteoporosis, smoking, diet, and then genetics was the last thing. Oh, this is my family. Just because it runs in your family doesn't mean you have to run with it. And a lot of things can be controlled. It's epigenetics or above your genetics. So they're finding most things are. I've seen things as high as 95% are not genes. There's different numbers with that, but it's high. Well, it's just safe to assume with that. So what can you do? Well, like I mentioned, if you're having these issues, medical consultation. Find somebody that definitely has a natural first approach. I love as a chiropractor, we're going to try the natural approach first. We have excellent referral relationships with neurologists, neurosurgeons, orthopedists, PTs, whoever's going to get the best result for the patient. The least invasive thing that's going to get the best result for the patient, get them back to doing the stuff they want to do and feeling the way that they want to feel. Always start with the least invasive thing. And so get testing done. Find somebody. Contact our office. I'm always glad to do this. It's a relatively inexpensive test that you can do at home, salivary test that you can do, and it's gonna map all of those different hormones. Gonna check cortisol, DHEA, pregnenolone, secretory IgA, things, gut health, which ties in with that as well. So outside of the testing, what are some things that you can do on your own? First and foremost, diet is something that's very important. Eating a balanced diet, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats. Avoid processed foods. Once again, we're getting back to it's a reoccurring theme, but it bears mentioning because a lot of people just won't do it. Processed foods, sugar. You're looking at wheat, gluten, dairy. The refined carbohydrates. Those are the top things that you're looking at. Other things that you can do is regular exercise can significantly help. One of the things I heard mentioned even on a call that I was on today. Some different things. Have some apple cider vinegar before, mixed with water. Have that before your meals. That's something that can help with your insulin response. After you eat, go for a 10-minute walk. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Doesn't have to be hardcore. Doesn't have to be a HIIT workout. Doesn't have to be, something tough. 10-minute walk is proven to help with your insulin response, which is going to help with hormone imbalances. Sleep, bare minimum of try and get 7 to 9 is what most people need. The lowest that you could have is 6. Below 6, they will start to show where you're starting to get changes in insulin response and hormonal changes with that. So even 1 day a week, it was a dramatic effect on that. You can also look at things we've discussed: fasting, intermittent fasting, trying to get your window of when you're eating, getting that smaller, having trying to get it down to an 8-hour window. I've even heard from a mentor, even a 10-hour window still had results with eating the same food, but just eating it in window. You're not going to get the weight loss with that, but that's if you're doing it more for hormones. And some of the effects of that, you don't necessarily have to change your diet. Although, like I said, I would change with the processed foods and some of that. There are some different supplements. A few of the things I will mention, I'm not going to get into certain specific ones because then I'm giving you medical advice without seeing any of your lab tests. Omega-3 fatty acids are important. Vitamin D, zinc. Those are some of the ones I can just kind of tell you over the top that are good. Prebiotics, fermented foods. That's another thing that's really good with that. So try those things. Like I said, some of the medical treatments that you're going to look at, hormone replacement therapy, insulin therapy for people that are diabetics, and other medications to try and help with the imbalances. Try the natural way first. I love the gold standard for the hormone changes in hormones in evaluating those is the at-home salivary test, where you're taking it throughout the day. If it's just one time, if it's just here, draw blood at this time, that's all you're seeing, a snapshot in time. That is not going to give you an accurate assessment of what's going on throughout the day because your hormones are going to change throughout the day. For instance, if somebody's got low cortisol and they're like, hey, I'm going to take a cortisol blocker or a cortisol lowering supplement that I read about, online, and it's already low. Oftentimes by dropping that even lower, your body can react. And later in the day, when you want it to be low, can be elevated. And that's times when you're going to have difficulty sleeping. So you've got to test. You've got to have testing with this so you can know how to regulate it. We're able to go through and, like I said, kind of graph that. If it's points of the day when it's high, we're able to bring it down. Times when it's low, we're able to bring that up. Optimize that so that your body learns. That's the great thing with these protocols. If you're using a supplement to support your body will learn to do it on its own. If you take hormone replacement, I'm not saying I'm not completely against that. If you take that, your body will lose the ability to do it on its own. It's going to do, you're filling it up with something, an external source. So I highly encourage anyone that's able to and has the willpower and to do this, try the natural way first and support your body to be able to do it. So get regular checkups and monitoring with that. It can significantly impact your health, your physical, mental, emotional well-being, and like I said, that of a spouse, your kids, your family in general, your coworkers, all of this. And it doesn't have to be that way. I'm so oddly passionate. I love this because so many people are suffering with this, and you don't have to. So If you've got any questions, feel free to leave comments for me. Contact me. I've gotten some nice feedback. I appreciate the people that message me on this. And if anyone has any questions, contact our office. You can set up a discovery call with me, no charge, just to go over. I'll have you fill out some paperwork, and I can go over it and see. If I'm not in your area and you need to work with somebody else, I work with people all over the country. You can do all this. That's the nice thing with technology through Zoom calls. We can do all this, all the testing, all that stuff. You can drop ship anything that you need. But I'm just glad to talk with anyone, see if I can help you, see what's going on, and if nothing else, guide you in the right direction. So take care of this, take care of yourself, and I hope you have a great week.